Welcome to my YouTube channel. You just tuned into the show today. We got to unpack some things today because we want to know where the water, where did the water go? I mean, it comes at where there's accountability. I'm a human being just like anybody else, but when you have situation like what has transpired in Los Angeles County, in the mountain area, the foothills of Los Angeles, where's the water? And what happened to the water and who's responsible? Okay, the number one reason as to why there was no water in the fire hydrants. And it's not a blame game. It's sad that it's politicized because if you turn the news on, they're asking for the resignation of Karen Bass, the mayor. They have they actually posted it on a local news station, and they have over 350,000 signatures for Karen Bass to step down because of the position that she took about the fires. Now, it seems like, you have situations go on in life and you figure it out. And then there are sayings, if it's not broken, don't fix it. But we're in a situation where fix it because it's broken. But we have to have the conversation about accountability, because anybody that has a job or a responsibility, the buck stops with you. Just like, sports is the greatest metaphor. And, you didn't win any football games and you're an offensive coordinator and didn't score any points. When they relieve you of your duties, you got to understand why. I've never seen a coach get fired that went undefeated. I've never seen a coach get fired and had a winning season. It's typically individuals who probably didn't stand to the standard. So we're going to break it down today. And this is, like I said, we do the court of public opinion. We understand that, the power of the people. Now, when you look at the Constitution, it says we the people. So these conversations are being had in boardrooms and the city council members. Now that I'm looking at the press conference, just looked at it here locally, and seemed like the mayor pushed out. And a lot of the city council members not there at the press conference, but they're having meetings in the absence of the mayor, because the city council members and the elected officials have to answer to the constituents of their role. And they have to have answers, because at the end of the day, it typically rolls downhill, but when there's problems, it goes uphill. And it's from a California perspective, it's state, okay, to the municipal. But we're going to really break down and get to the nitty gritty as to the number one reason, okay, because, information, is public information. And when you are in a position where you got to know where to go get the information. So I basically did a deep dive, and I got the Department of Water and Power's mandate back when Eric Garcetti was the mayor. And it's dated back to December 10th of 2015. And it was a proposed water rate ordinance, meaning they were going to raise the water, the prices of water, because they had to conserve. Okay. They had to conserve. And I'm going to get into those comments in a little while, but I just wanted to share some things with you. This is back in 2015. Now, proposed ordinance includes conservation, and that's the key, conservation. And this is basically dated back December 10th of 2015. And I wondered why the mayor, Eric Garcetti, pretty much stepped down. And I'm doing amazing today, and I hope you are as well. A lot of people been reaching out. I'm from LA, South Los Angeles. And the only thing that we were affected by, on day one or day two, due to the high winds, was the smoke. OK, and anything outside of that, you had a lot of debris on the cars and things like that. Looked like it. I'm going to be totally frank and totally honest with you. You'll sit there and look like a little snowfall, but that's pretty much, some ash. So they're requesting that we wear a mask when we're outside, but we got to get down to it. OK, and I did some research as to the main reasonings as to what happened to the water. OK, and we broke it down. And listen, this is why we can't have a two system. This is why we can't have a two-party system, because of the, they're politicizing all of this stuff. And then they're making it, it's crazy, because I'm sure some people are happy that somebody's home has burned down. Because I heard somebody say, well, the rich, they got to pay their fair share. Okay, but it doesn't mean burn their house down. Okay, I understand. But in this situation, there was a situation with the ultra rich, because you don't know Palisades. A lot of our entertainers, I'm talking about mega $1 million homes and beachfront property in LA is pretty much, the most expensive real estate in the world. And you talking about, ultra rich, family heirlooms lost, paintings, things that cannot be replaced. And then a lot of people, they're not talking about in Altadena. And Altadena was a large population of black wealth, because in the 60s, Altadena was after the Civil Rights Acts and the Fair Housing Acts and all of that, was the first city to allow blacks to move into a suburban city. And families that moved in, first generation, pretty much lost everything. Okay, and we'll talk about that down the road. But back in 2015, Garcetti came up with a plan to do something about the water. And he said to provide reliable and sustainable local water supply for Angelenos. And Bass like to use that Angelenos constantly. Now, the LA Department of Water and Power supplies nearly 4 million citizens of Los Angeles through the operation of 7,200 miles of water transmission to be distributed to mains. Okay, now Los Angeles is at a crossroads with regards of its water's future, and the ability to weather what may be a new normal or a prolonged drought requires changes for all. In addition, the rapidly aging infrastructure of the LA Department of Water and Power, much in which needs to be corrected. Okay, this was back in 2016, back in 2015. Okay. And then the reason why the water, we're going to just get down to it, because people don't really understand the reason why there was no hydrants in Palisades is because the reservoir in Palisades has been empty for the last 6 months. Okay. This is the reservoir right here. It's been empty, and it's behind me. It's been empty for 6 months due to repairs, and they have not put any repairs or conducted any repairs. That's number one. So when they went to the fire hydrants and there was no water available, it's been debunked in the sense of that theirs was, the pressure of the water. We didn't anticipate that there was going to be we were going to use so much water. That's a lie. Okay. The water supply has been drained. The reservoir is number two. California has dumped 114 billions of gallons of water into the ocean. And this is an article dated in September. So it seems like they were setting up, the perfect storm, like they were setting it up to pretty much, do what it did. And we got to have a conversation about accountability. We got to have this conversation about accountability, because like I said, Gavin Newsom is pretty much throwing Bass under the bus. And then Bass has put herself in a compromising situation, because it seems like she can't have a conversation without talking points or a script. So I'm going to show you this video right here, and I don't know if you've seen it, but we're going to check it out. I'm going to do a little reaction to it, because when the fires came into play, she was actually out of town in Ghana. Okay. And she's a world traveler. She's been traveling the world as a senator or congresswoman. I believe she was a senator, but she signed a mandate that she will not leave the country as mayor. She will not travel internationally. If she's not in LA, she'll be either in DC or Sacramento, and she signed on the dotted line. And that's a fact. Okay. So if you did not see this video, I'm going to pause and pretty much comment on it, but this is her reaction. This is a mayor of one of the most prestigious cities in the world. This is her reaction in LAX on the Clearport. Reporters pretty much start talking to her the day after, because she was in Ghana when LA was on fire. Check this out.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you?
This is the mayor of Los Angeles. Okay. She's not going to say anything. I'm just pretty much making a point in the sense of why they put out, a letter, and it got not a letter, but, some documentation, and got over 300,000 signatures to oust her as the mayor, because this is the mayor of Los Angeles whose speech, and now we've been watching her on local television talking about, reading her scripts. Okay. But somebody is calling the shots and told her do not open her mouth. Check it out.
Absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today. Elon Musk said utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position?
Did you hear that? He said Elon Musk said that you're utterly incompetent, and she had no reaction to that. Because a lot of times when you're guilty, you don't say anything. I'm not saying she's guilty, but she pretty much understands what's going on, and she had an assignment to do. And she facilitated that assignment to a T and wasn't even present when it happened. So she won't even get any blame for it. No disrespect to her, but you are the leader. You are the coach. You're running the show. And while your city was burning down, you out the country in Ghana. What you doing in Africa? Come on. Check it out.
Incompetent. Are you considering your position?
Look at this.
Incompetent. Are you considering your... Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent.
Utterly incompetent. Wow. Look at her. This is the mayor.
Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to this?
Look at the mayor. This is the mayor of the most prestigious city in the world. The most prestigious city in the world, arguably. One of the, okay. And this is the mayor. This doesn't look like, this is not a mayor to me. Okay. And like I said, because as a man, it will be hard not to say anything. And then she has, from a DEI perspective, the air marshal that escorted her off the plane's a female, and she can't even get this guy to stop talking. Okay. And literally this thing is trending, the city's a laughing stock, this thing in all over social media, all over the news, and it's just making us look bad because we are not in control of anything. Check it out.
Citizens today who are dealing with this.
Check it out.
No apology for them. Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home? Visiting Ghana while this was unfolding.
I'm pausing because I want you guys to see something. Because like I said, from a psychologist perspective, look at her body language. You guys remember I Dream of Jeannie. She was trying to open that door with her eyes. She telling them, open this door. Check it out. Watch this. Okay, look at it. She like, what are you doing? Open the door. And then it got so bad, she gonna try to squeeze through this crack. Look, watch this. She's going to actually hit the metal because she's trying to find an option out. There's no handle over there, but y'all, how discombobulated she is. Check this out.
No apology for them.
She's trying to go out the wall.
Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was holding back home?
Okay, you see her security? He pointed and go to the next door. And the reason that I paused it because watch this guy. He did not open this door, but somehow he's going to find his way inside to open the other door. So, and somebody put in the chat, it's staged, and I believe it, but it's staged for her to be accountable for what's going on. He's not letting her get out that door. Okay. No, you deal with the press. You do what you got to do, because I'm guaranteeing he might be, affected by what happened. Okay. He's telling her to go to the other door when he's going to come through it. Check this out. Just pay attention. He's telling her to go to the other door. Now she got to get up out of here. Watch this track start. Watch. And you see her DEI security right there. The air marshal, the black air marshal, who cannot stop the guy from saying anything. Because if I was on that detail, I would have went viral. Karen Bass's security, pretty much caught a case for tackling, the reporter, basically assaulting the reporter, because she should have shut him up. She should have got him up out of there. But, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, you got the show female escorting the mayor off a plane, and she doesn't do anything to stop the reporter. And we got to deal with all of this stuff. Watch this track start. Watch her get up out of there. Watch out. Watch out. Move, girl. Watch this. Boom. She out of there. And watch this. Look how fast she walking. Okay. Check this out. Watch this. Now watch this. Now, if you work for LAX and you work for, what is this? The Homeland Security, TSA, and the mayor of Los Angeles came to your post, wouldn't you door so she can exit? But watch they, just pay attention. They're going to stand down to allow her to go through what she's going through. Check it out.
Ask you just again, have you
Watch she
anything
back
to say
up.
to the citizens
I'm out of
today
here.
as you
I ain't got
return?
nothing to do with this. She can't even get out this door.
Hold on 1 second.
And look, the same guy who did not let her out the other door, all of a sudden, he was able to gain access to the door that she was trying to exit, and now he's going to let her out this
Just
door.
a few words for the citizens today as you
That's
return
crazy, huh?
to deal with the catastrophe.
Crazy. Bam. So from a mayor's perspective, the city of Los Angeles has lost all faith in Mayor Bass. The state of California has lost all faith in Gavin Newsom. But Gavin Newsom, I know he's going to play the blame game. He's going to throw Bass under the bus. But that's all we needed to see. Because from a human being perspective, a politician always has something to say. A politician always has something to say. When he asked her the question, you have anything to say, to Los Angeles? I was out of the country. Okay. And I'm back now. It was a 14-hour flight, and I'm here to get to the bottom of this. Okay. Do you feel bad? No, I do not feel bad because I didn't strike the match, but this is an atrocity and we're going to get through this. But she just sat down and didn't say anything. She didn't even filibuster. Okay. Because when you're guilty, you stay silent. If you don't have nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all. Just like in the chat, they saying it's staged. And I gotta believe that to a magnitude, because from a strategic perspective, the right people were put into play to make sure that these things happen, because there are some evildoers in high places that's really trying to do some things. And if you did know, with these fires, they keep saying a natural disaster. Put that in your brain. And then I'll get to the reason why there was no water in the pipes and that in the fire hydrants. And that actually goes for Palisades as well as Altadena, because I saw something in Altadena that pretty much hurt my heart. And it's the reason why I got a lot of energy with this, because I know a lot of people in the Black community was affected by it, because in their generational wealth was destroyed. One of the things that they keep saying, and you guys could, debate it if you want to in the chat, natural disaster. I keep hearing the word natural disaster. Yes, we had high winds. Okay. Natural disaster. I'm going to have to say nay on the natural disasters due to the fact that there was no water supply. This is what this all boils down to. The chief of the LA Fire Department went on record, and like I said, you guys are not privy to the local news, and they pretty much asked her, did the city of Los Angeles let you down? She said yes. The fire department chief said yes. They said when my department, goes to a fire hydrant to put out a fire, we expect it to be water in the hydrant. Okay. And the cuts, which a lot of people don't really, want to talk about. And we got to really, pay attention and understand that there were cuts. And then there were cuts, and people don't really understand. Okay, these are just headlines. Los Angeles Department budget cuts, sustained cuts, but saw overall increase. Now, if you budget cuts, you basically, reappropriate fundings. Okay, and they're getting in front of it and trying to make it into something. But the budget cuts, pretty much played a part in it, because on a fireman's off day, okay, he can actually come in overtime or have an easy breezy day, because what I remember as a kid and as an adult in certain sections of Los Angeles, the fire department pretty much associating with the community, but they will go around and test the fire hydrants. Okay, meaning let the water flow, check the pressure, make sure that it's intact. But when they cut the budget, they cut the funding for that to be allocated. And then also there's over 9 fire department engines or fire department machinery just sitting pretty much in a graveyard, because they cut the budget. So they don't have maintenance workers. They don't have mechanics to work on the fire engines. They fire engines, ambulances. This is factual information. Okay. And they cut the department. They went to the fire department's maintenance and storage. It was empty, and they counted over 90 engines, including ambulances and first response vehicles. So testing. Anybody that works at a facility, worked at a job, or a plant, you have to check the fires. Why do you go around and see make sure the fire extinguishers are valid? Why do you go and make sure that you turn the water pressure on comes out, just in case? Because the worst thing that you can possibly do is have an incident on the workplace. Go after all of this, CPR training, first response training, and there's a small fire that you can actually put out before it becomes a big fire. You go to a fire hydrant that was not checked off and it's expired, and then you go to extinguish the fire and there's no, substance or anything coming out of the extinguisher. The whole building burns down. So who would be the blame? Whatever entity who is responsible for making sure that that fire hydrant met its standards. And if you at work today and you see not a fire hydrant, but you see a fire extinguisher, look at it. It's going to have a tag and it's going to have dates on it that you check off. And you can look and see the last time that it was checked. And then there's a little green section where the needle needs to be within so it can actually be. There's no difference than that extinguisher process when, no difference when it comes to a fire hydrant. Just think about it. Have you ever been driving and was wondering, where's all this water coming from? And then you see a fire truck bleeding out the water, just basically testing it because they're getting ready for a rain day. But if you approve for a reservoir in Palisades, and this is fact, it's right here. I'm gonna get out the way so you can see it. A reservoir that could store millions of gallons of water for situations like this, because the first episode started, in Palisades, and I saw the individuals. They pretty much hooked onto the water up to the house, and they basically pointed to turn the extinguisher on. It was pretty much expecting power, a 2-man, hose where the hose is so strong you need somebody to hold your back, and nothing came out. It just started dripping. They changed the nozzle thinking it was the nozzle, but then it turns out that it was the hydrant was empty. And what did they have to do? Run for cover. And then the worst incident that I saw, I'm watching the news, local news, and the owner of a business on Lake Avenue in Altadena was doing an interview with a local news outlet and basically was saying, I hope the fire department could get here and help me extinguish, because look like we're good right now. But if we don't do, extinguish the fire, I'm going to lose my business. Family for 40 years. And the fire department rolled up and he dropped it here. This man said, wow. I mean, it looked like my business is going to be safe. He started to get excited and he said, look, there's a fire hydrant right in front of my business. It was a business that pretty much circled the block. Okay. It catty-cornered the block. And then there was a fire hydrant on the corner. So the entrance pretty much came, right off the busy. And then the business opened and the fire hydrant was right there in front of the business, in front of the main 2 doors of the business. The firemen rolled up, they latched on, and pretty much the same process. We bought, wet this thing down and save this property. No water came out. And this was all the way in San Gabriel Valley, all the way in Altadena. So you're saying that there was no water in the reservoir in Palisades. No water came out, in Altadena. They allowed 114 billion gallons of, and I got to come with the receipts, because here California is about to dump 114 billion of gallons of water into the ocean. This September 13th. Okay. And then 6 days ago, the USA Today put out an article, Los Angeles fires unchecked fire hydrants. Even Facebook chimed in. Okay. California is about to dump 114 billion gallons of water. And that was 3 months ago. It's the perfect storm. It seems like they were pretty much, some evildoers in high places was literally just, doing this and making sure. And at the perfect time, we're going to make sure things happen. And then I can say, a natural disaster. And I'm going to say BS, because if it's a natural disaster, why did they go online at the press conference? Not online, but why did they do a press conference 2 days ago? And they're bringing TF, the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, the FBI, as well as local law enforcement, to create a task force to find out what happened. Okay, now if it was a natural disaster, why do you have to create a task force? And if you didn't know, in West Hills, I believe what fire was that, but the West Hills fire, they pretty much caught the assailant in the hood riding on a bicycle with a blowtorch. This is breaking news for some of you. They caught an individual riding around on a bike with a blowtorch. Now, the news pretty much, they want to show you, need to know, and they want to show you what they want you to see, but social media is undefeated. So the homeowners in that particular area, they posted their videos. Now, it was a migrant who did not speak English riding a bicycle with an actual blowtorch gun. Like if you was a welder, or something like that, and he had it in his hand. They corralled him. He yelled out neighbors. And the neighbors came out and pretty much zip tied him, and law enforcement arrested him. And then Mel Gibson basically said on Fox, his son is a volunteer fireman, and they apprehended an individual near the area in Altadena, and he had on full fire gear. So when they say, the Democrats say, that Donald Trump's a threat to their democracy, I think that they're being, evildoers in high places, and it just is off my mind. My opinion, allegedly, they didn't off and they didn't win. So the evildoers in high places are punishing them, because if you really pay attention, Palisades, Malibu, all of that's ultra Hollywood, the entertainment industry, liberal all day. And then if you go and look at, Altadena, Altadena has a large volume of black residents. Okay. But there's Armenian, there's white. I got to figure out what the population is, but somehow, some way, how did these cities, it's strategic. Okay. Because when you drain out 114, million gallons of water. Okay. And then, there's no water in the fire hydrant. Where does the buck stop? Okay. And like I said, I went to the website of Department of Water and Power, and Garcetti put out a plan back in 2015 to do something about the water situation and to conserve. Okay. And over here at the Better Black America TV, we seek solutions and resolutions. But we're going to have these conversations, but I'm going to get into the reason why fire hydrants will be empty. Okay. And I'm going to break it down. So the number 7 reason why there will be no water in a fire hydrant is because of water supply interruptions. Now, if there has been interruption in the city's water supply, such as a major break in the water, flooding, or emergency situation that might, that water might be available in certain parts of the system. Okay. Including fire hydrants. That's the number 7 reason, water interruption. So you can kind of check that box, because when you release billions of gallons of water into the ocean, and then there's no water in the reservoirs, and then you turn on the water hose in Palisades, nothing comes out. And then the same thing happens. Okay. In a city, maybe 20 minutes away. I mean, come on, that's a problem. And the Department of Water and Power is responsible. Department of Water and Power is responsible. Number 6, vandalism or tampering. So nobody could say that one. Okay, vandalism or tampering. Fire hydrants can sometimes be tampered with, either by vandals or individuals who use them which could lead to the hydrant being out of service. So we could just get that one out the way. So number 7 is water supply interruptions in legislation and through our city and state government. They basically interrupted the water supplies. Okay. Vandalism, throw that out the window. Okay. Number 5, system specific issues. Now, some fire hydrants might be connected to a secondary non-primary water line that has less reliable flow. In some cases, a hydrant might not be connected to the main water system at all, especially in older or less developed areas. No. Okay. That didn't happen. Okay. Number 4, low water pressure. Now, if the city system is experiencing low water pressure due to the high demand of pump failure or system, the hydrant may not have sufficient pressure to deliver. Now, we circle that one and think about that one because that's a possibility. And I believe that's what they're going to close out with from a political perspective, because you sit back and I hear them say it, oh, it's a natural disaster, but no, we didn't anticipate of using that much water. But if you tamper with the water supply and there's no supply there, then it is what it is. Then it is what it is. And we got to be totally honest about that. Okay. Number 3, valve issues. Okay. Sometimes the valves that controls the water flow to a specific hydrant may be closed or malfunctioning. This could be due to human error, a failure in the valve mechanism, or miscommunication during routing checks. Okay. Routing checks. It clearly wasn't checked, but I didn't see no valve issues. I seen them put the valve correctly, attempt the water flow, actually switch out a valve to basically make sure that it wasn't the issue. No water came out, and then they went to the hydrant and there was no water there. So that's crazy. And number 2 reason why there will be no water in the pipes, frozen pipes, throw that out the window. Okay. Now I can understand if you out in a different state. I understand if you're in a cold climate that the water can actually freeze, but that didn't happen because frozen pipes in colder climates, pipes that feed into hydrants may freeze, preventing water to flow. Now, this can be a serious issue during winter months if the pipes are not fully insulated or if the temperature drops below 0. So that did not happen. The pipes wasn't frozen. And the drum roll, please. Drum roll, please. The number 1 reason. The number 1 why there will be no water in the pipes. You ready for this? The city's water supply system might be undergoing maintenance or repairs, which could involve shutting off water flow to certain areas or hydrants. This is often done to fix leaks, replace pipes, or perform upgrades. And that's a clear indication because the reservoir in Palisades was offline due to repairs. And it's been offline for the last 6 months. And for the last 6 months, no one has pretty much attempted any repairs. And the repairs that they wanted to make was to put a cover over the water. So from a business perspective, Department of Water and Power got a lot of answers to do. They got a lot of answers, that they're going to have to answer a question that they're going to have to answer. And the mayor and the governor. And I know it's going to be a blame. Okay. I know it's going to be a blame game, but we have to really figure things out. But somebody put in the chat, 15 cities was affected. So clearly that's arson right there. And the only reason we can have arson is because we're so divided. So just imagine, somebody that's, looking at the news and, the rich don't pay their fair share and these MAGAs and, so this is why, we got to come together as a people. There cannot be a 2-tier government. Okay. Because accountability from the state level, municipal level, which is the city, and Karen Bass is in hot water, and for her to be out the country in Ghana, and a lot of people wondering, what the heck was she doing in Ghana? And the reason she was in Ghana, she was out there with Dr. Umar, and they basically sworn in 435 Americans to be dual citizens of Ghana and the United States. And somebody told me that's been around for a while. She said that Bass is connected to Cuba. Her husband was a Cuban person. She, basically she's one of them, and when I say one of them, they talking about communist. Okay. And this is why they selected her to be the mayor. This is why they got Eric Garcetti. I'm not sure if it was term limits on Garcetti. I should be corrected. But back in 2015, he had a legislation to basically conserve our water because it was a problem. Okay. And it's pretty much a 41-page memo, okay, off the website. Okay. With signatures. So we got to be honest, and we got to be, basically do what we got to do. So, and in terms of fact or fiction, was this a natural disaster? And the answer is no. Okay. Because a natural disaster does not mandate a task force to get to the bottom of this. There's no way 15 cities can be affected. There's no way these multiple fires going on at the same time. So they're going to find a way to come up with some type of, answer that's going to appease the sheep. And when I say appease the sheep, meaning, the individuals that just listen to these elected officials and pretty much go by what they say. And then they want to argue and debate with individuals who has a brain, who pretty much can, do their own research because of their management skills and their leadership skills. Because I know, it comes at accountability. You have to be accountable for what you do. You got to be accountable for what you do. And somebody put in the chat, look it up in Google. So what is happening right now? LA is standing close because there's supposed to be some winds supposed to rise up again. Okay. But it's not going to be the way that it was before. But these are not completely out. The one in Altadena is still burning. Okay. And the one in Palisades is still burning. So they're pretty much having press conferences every day, having people be ready to evacuate. But it is what it is. It is what it is. So somebody look up 15-minute city on my guy, Google my guy. Absolutely. Let me see what y'all got in these comments. It's not hard to tell me exactly. It is what it is. So we can't be sheep, man. We got to be more like shepherds because they like to just tell us whatever they want to tell us. And we supposed to just, do what we need to do. And it's crazy because in terms of like for me, from accountability perspective, we're done just listening. Okay. Stepping and fetching. Okay. So the Constitution says we people, so we got to use that document, to pretty much step up and start providing some type of oversight, okay, over our elected officials, because clearly up until this point, they're pretty much just doing what they want to do what they're told. And this is why Karen Bass had nothing to say on the tarmac in LA at LAX when she got back from Ghana, is because she did not have her points or her script that is issued to her. So we really got to have these conversations. We really got to understand, we really got to focus on what we're going to do as a people moving forward, because a hiding cannot stand. And one of the our mission statement here on the Better Black America TV is seek solutions and resolutions to create a better America for all. So one of the solutions that I got to give you today is that we're going to rebuild. There has to be some type of mandate. And if I was the mayor or the governor, I put some legislation and I will outlaw, okay, show you how smart I am. I will outlaw wood framing houses or building homes with any wood or flammable materials. I said that the first day of, and then I was looking at in Altadena, and the news was walking down the street. They were walking down the street and the entire neighborhood gone. And they walked up on a house, and the news reporter was with a gentleman, and they walked up on the house, and he said, the whole community is gone. The whole community is gone, but there's your house, untouched, unscathed. How was this possible? The man basically said, metal roof. I built my home in non-flammable materials. I have a lot of marble on my floors in my bathroom, no hardwood floors. I got marble. I got, my the steel beams, the infrastructure was framed with steel. And I'm sitting back saying like, wow. So when they start building back, and if they start framing these homes with wood, that's insanity. Okay. So if you are going to build back, okay, you got to build back better. Okay. And you want to make sure that your house can sustain what's going on. And I was having a conversation and somebody brought up the 3 little pigs. I said, wow, the 3 little pigs. Okay. You can't build your house with sand. You go to the beach and wind to blow that down. So that's out the question. The other one built his home with sticks, and sticks metaphorically is wood. Think about that. Sticks is wood. What happened to that house? Either you down or you burn it down. The other one made his house with bricks. And the way you stick bricks together is with cement. And this is why when you see homes down to the ground to a crisp, you see a fire standing. So this is why, as human beings, we got to let them know that these elected officials are powers, evildoers in high places to pretty much set us up to burn us up, because somebody made a decision to empty out the reservoir in Palisades, which is the reason there's no water in the fire hydrants. Somebody made a decision to cut the budget for the fire department. Regardless of what they say in the media, they cut the budget. So if you cut the budget, meaning you can only maintain status quo, you can't grow, you can't gain. Okay. And part of the budget cuts went to hydrant maintenance, because I know a fireman, and this has been confirmed. The best overtime that they do, they don't respond to calls. They pretty much roll out in a pretty much not in the SUV or the red truck, not even the fire truck, and pretty much go around, turn the water on, pressure, and mandate. But that part was cut due to the budget. And then the maintenance department was cut, which is fact, because at the yard, there's over 90 engines and ambulances just sitting there because they dropped the maintenance department. And the fire departments have to maintain their own engines. They're off and you pass by, they're washing it, they're changing the oil, they doing some things because they got to do it themselves. But in a sense of having some type of supply, the perfect situation could have been, report to the yard, grab a truck and let's go, let's get at it. But still, if there's no reserved water, if there's no conservation of water, if we're allowing billions of water to be drained into the ocean and not to use it as a resource to, preserve it, then we got a problem. But if we continue to sit back and be silent, if we continue to sit back and don't say anything, then, we're going to have to answer to our maker. Okay. Because we cannot continue to just go with this nonsense. We can't continue. We're going to have to stand up and fight. Right. We're going to have to do what we need to do. We're going to have to do what we need to do. So put in the comments. It's frustrating because we pay 11% with the city and state tax, for Newsom, and other leaders not putting water in the reservoirs is frustrating, and money management is bad. Yeah. So this is why we're declaring ourselves as nonpartisan independents, because Newsom is a Democrat, and we got to stand up as a people and challenge. Okay, we just can't take it, because even in this, Eric Garcetti put out this mandate back in 2015 about preserving water, and just pretty much justifying why they're going to raise, the rates for water, your water bill. And apparently they raised the water bill, but they clearly did not follow through with the conservation of any of these things. Any of them. And that's crazy. So we the people and going to have to step up because we dodged a bullet when it comes to, this political climate, because you can only imagine, if Harris would have won. OK, because she just went to a funeral for Jimmy Carter, and the past presidents, nobody even spoke. The Bushes sat there. Bill Clinton started reading the obituary. Trump and Obama was having a conversation. So she decided to look back. As soon as she looked back, they started having a conversation. So, it is what it is. So an epic fail. So now it's time for the real people to step up and stop, doing what, and stop playing this game. And Brian Floyd said, Californians, don't come to Florida. We already full. Because like I said, there's some Exodus videos going on. And it is what it is, man. It is what it is, man. And it's crazy. And it is crazy. Let me see here. Charles James, no one wants to pay taxes, but why these taxes are needed and they want to complain, look in the mirror. Okay, you have Dave, or you have, let me see here, it's for a rainy day. If we were to save for a rainy day, at least we wouldn't have any excuses. If they turned that water on and that water came out, I mean, come on, think about that. If they turned the water hose on, that fire hydrant, the water came out, but the images of no water coming out was jaw dropping. And to find out that the reservoir was offline. OK, and then Newsom's throwing the city under the bus because the headline says Newsom orders probe into why Palisades reservoir was offline during fires. That's crazy. So I pray for Karen Bass, and I pray that, she really understands that, it's, you wanted to be the mayor. You are the mayor, but if you cannot have moments like you had on the tarmac. You can't. You got to be able to speak, because anytime they ask Gavin Newsom a question, look, we're going to figure it out. We're going to get to this. We're going to make sure we hold those people who are, actively accountable for this situation. Just answer the question. But to sit back and not say anything, it just shows us that, you were put there for a particular reason. And now you are starting to realize they're using the Democratic Party and its elected officials to destroy this nation. And if you don't think we love this country, Black people love the United States of America. OK, things like this hurt our hearts, our minds, and it affects us because we know without a shadow of a doubt how it feels. This is why, we got to figure this thing out. And I don't care what nobody say, all roads lead to God. Because I'm sure that there's some racist individual or somebody that was a hater, or somebody that just was judgmental and a bigot and all of that. I'm sure they talked to God within the last 4 days and said, Lord, what is this? I lost everything. When I say everything, I mean everything. You got people who have millions of dollars of art in their homes, family heirlooms, family crests, all of that. Think about it. Think about it. So we got to really figure this thing out as a people. And this is why being nonpartisan, looking at that Constitution and developing a system where everybody has their own lane, meaning everybody gets an opportunity. If you're talented, use your gifts. OK, do what you need to, because God has given all of us gifts. And the greatest gift that he's given us is present right now. And it's crazy that gift and present kind of, makes sense, but there's no traffic in your lane. So we got to carve out greatness because, like I said, something got to rise through these acts, because without struggle, there's no progress. But we as a people, we got to figure this thing out and look up, figure it out, because for there not to be any water in the reservoir. OK, Gavin Newsom wants to put out a probe. For Karen Bass to, be speechless and not even have a conversation. OK, so there has to be some account. And I've seen people sit back and say, Why they blaming people? Okay. I mean, it's not a blame, it's accountability. Because like I aforementioned at the beginning of the live stream, if we're a football coach, the head coach of a prestigious university, and you did not score a touchdown all season and you lost every game, it's the head coach's fault. Karen Bass, coach of the city. The Department of Water and Power are the power broken players. Where is the water? Where is it going? We got to get to the bottom of it because this cannot happen again. Cannot happen again. And from a solution perspective, and there should be some type of proposal or some type of legislation to outlaw the wood framing of houses or used materials, because a lot of people, just like say you got a hardwood floor, you've seen those hardwood floors, and that staining is flammable. Think about it. Paint, certain paints is flammable. So when you wood frame a home, one ember get up under the roof, I mean, you sitting on a ticking time bomb. So we could figure out some way somehow to, build with, materials that are fireproof or non-flammable. This is what we got to do. And there's multiple cases out there to where homes did not burn down or were destroyed because of the materials that they use. So we got to learn, we got to adjust, we got to pivot, we got to call an audible, we got to stop the madness and the insanity. And, I know some say, but what's going to happen to the carpenters union? Well, those carpenters going to have to move on to something else because, they used to wind cars up back in the day. Okay. Now there's push starters, electric cars now. Wheels was blocks before they carved off the edges. So they would just basically move. So evolution, it's time to evolve because this situation cannot happen again, even if it was arson. Just imagine if those homes were not flammable. And when, countries that has, 60% forestry, there are countries that's really built in the forest, but for some reason, somehow they don't burn. It's because of maintenance. There is a Department of Forestry who pretty much, and people be laughing about it, rake the floors, meaning, get that brush out, get those dry leaves out. Clean it up. Okay. There's a thing that they call controlled burns, meaning, burn off sections to where, you could protect life and property. But a lot of people don't understand that because of that vibration. But when you really understand, you've been in place, in business meetings, met with people in high places, then you got to start speaking about your leadership skills because these are things that need to happen. There needs to be accountability for the forestry department. There needs accountability for the controlled burns. There need to be accountability for no water being in the hydrants. There need to be accountability as to why the Palisades reservoir was offline. There needs to be accountability as to why we drained 114 billion gallons of water, of storm water, of stored water, and let it go out into the ocean. And it seems as though to set it up so we can be in this right now, if we want to be honest, because hindsight is 2020. Because without a doubt, there's going to be a wealth exchange. Okay, black wealth is destroyed in Altadena. Okay, white wealth is literally destroyed in Palisades. Okay, and in the surrounding cities, beachfront property burnt down in Malibu, the most expensive waterfront property in the world. And then now, from an opportunistic perspective, there are some people that was looking for homes in that area, but in terms of the surplus, not enough homes being available. I'm sure right now they're trying to buy property or land, right? So they can rebuild their dream home in the place where generational wealth was passed down through centuries. Think about that. There's opportunistic human beings in this world, is what it is. So we got to figure this thing out. The only way we can do it is that we rise above the nonsense, come together as a people, stop, having political debates and arguing back and forth, being Republicans and Democrats and all of that nonsense, and be human beings and humanitarians and do what's right for all people. And that comes with ending racism and just one race in the United States, and that's the human race. So I'm not going to, change the topic of discussion, but for them to politicize it and for them to, the blame game and all that. So we're not doing that here. It's accountability, and accountability comes from the state and municipal level, and municipal is city, because somebody has to be responsible. While there's no water coming out the fire hydrants in Altadena in San Gabriel Valley, no water coming out the fire hydrants in Palisades, one of the most prestigious state places in the world. He has to be accountable as to the fact that 114 billion gallons of water was allowed to, storm water, stored water, which could be used to just bleed out to the ocean. It's all political. It's all political. And like I said, and there's a form of capitalism when it goes to that, because if you just really pay attention to the history of how they direct water, they can pretty much, like the river. Okay. The Nile, basically, they shut that down, and all the southern, South African countries pretty much went dry. So water is a God-given resource. It is a necessity. And if you look at the Mad Max saga and all of that, water is something that we're going to be fighting for in the future. So, but before that happens, get the politics out of it and just look at the human being and figure this thing out and make sure we do what we need to do as a people, and make sure, we fix the problems and the rights and wrongs of the past, and, and figure this thing out. So we need to stand united. Yes, that's in the comments. I have let me see here. Let's figure this thing out, man. Walk that thin, narrow path. Absolutely. Each one teach one. Love thy neighbor as we love thyself. Just like Moses in the Mosaic days, they had those commandments, but Christ broke it down in one. First, love God with your heart, mind, and your soul. Secondly, love yourself. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. So love God. That means you love yourself. So we got to figure this thing out and come together, because, this is sad. Okay. I mean, it's sad. And I'm sure there's individuals just wondering why. Me, it looked like hell. Okay. Individuals, running from fire. The death toll was up to 24. Okay. And it's rising. So it is what it is. So, like I said, so that being said, I'm going to close out and give you the 7 reasons, the number one reason as to why this thing happened. Okay. And like I said, I've been on the phone with Department of Water and Power. I was on on a call, and they broke it down because it's public information. Okay. So I'm gonna break it down and I'm gonna get up out of here. So the number 7 reason why there will be water in a fire hydrant: water supply interruptions. And clearly there was water supply interruption when it comes to the governor ordering a probe as to why the Bay's reservoir was empty and offline. So water supply. Number 6, vandalism or tampering. There was no documentation or anything that said that there was some vandalism or tampering. Because fire hydrants can be tampered with by either vandals or individuals who misuse them. That's understandable, but that didn't happen. Number 5, system specific issues. Some fire hydrants might be connected to a secondary or primary water line that has less reliable flow. In some cases, a hydrant might be connected to the main water supply, especially in older, less developed areas. That didn't happen. Okay, so number 7, water interruption is one of the reasons, but we're going to get to the main one. Okay, number 4, low water pressure. Okay, that didn't happen because there was no low water pressure. There was no water pressure. Okay, and low water pressure, just for information, if the city's water system is experiencing low pressure due to a high demand, and that's what they're going with, a pump failure or issues in the system, the hydrant may not be sufficient pressure to deliver water. And see, this is the talking point that I got from them, and I'm sure that this is what they're going to go with, because I heard out of my mouth, this natural disaster, and I'm like, this is not a natural disaster. Arson, all day because it's put together a task force to identify, who started the fires or what was the ignition to start the fires, as well as there's multiple individuals being caught and arrested as arsonists. And the one that's viral right now, and you can look it up yourself, a migrant in West Hills was apprehended by the citizens. The neighbors came out and he called his neighbors. You can hear him, neighbors, neighbors. The neighbors ran out with zip ties because there was and I'm throwing him under the bus, an illegal immigrant that spoke Spanish riding a bike through West Hills with a blow torch in his. He got the blow torch in his hand, and it's pretty much, and the street came down. That's when the smoke started, the wind, and then this was, the ignition for the West Hills. And then if you look at the Altadena situation, they actually caught an individual, full fire suit on. I mean, come on. So who's doing this? Is this the punishment for the Democrats losing to Trump? So when they say the biggest threat to their democracy is Trump, no, the biggest threat to their democracy is the individuals that funds their campaign. These evildoers in high places, these people who want to destroy this country, the antichrist, the anti-American, the anti-male female. Those are the individuals we away with, the ones who want to kill babies. Think about it. So low water pressure, no, it was no water pressure. Number 3, wasn't the issue. Valve issues. Sometimes the valves that controls the water flow to a hydrant may be closed or malfunction. Now, this could be due to human error, a failure in the valve mechanism, or miscommunication during routine checks. And routine checks, stop right there. The routine checks with the budget cuts was dismantled because that was their overtime. Routine checks came from when the individual, you're not on duty, but they didn't come in, get you some overtime, and you're going to do routine checks of fire hydrants. Clearly, when they dropped the budget, they dropped that as the maintenance program because over 90 vehicles, engines, ambulances are sitting in graveyard because they dismantled that department. Number 2, frozen pipes. We ain't even gonna go there. We know it was no frozen pipes. But the number one reason from the Department of Water and Power, I got signed documentation from the Department of Water and Power. You ready? Maintenance or repairs. The city's water supply system might be undergoing maintenance or repairs, which could involve shutting off water flow to certain areas or hydrants. This is often done to fix leaks, replace pipes, or perform upgrades. And it's clear without a shadow of a doubt. They shut off the water in certain areas and somebody is accountable. And there's an empty reservoir behind me that's shutting off water. And somewhere they got to deal with this in Altadena. No water came out the hydrants as well. So why did they shut down? Okay. And if they were performing, leaks, replacing pipes or upgrades, then why was the Palisades Reservoir shut down for the last 6 months? And there's no documentation as to any repairs being done. It's what it is. So with that being said, man, this is the basically the number one reason why there was no water in the pipes. Hit that notification, hit that subscription. We got a lot going on here on the channel. Okay, we about to switch the setup. We're monetized now. Okay, so we're going to basically raise it to professional grade. So with that being said, man, I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Hit that like, hit that notification, hit the subscription. This your man, Bushan Glover, Better Black America TV. Peace out. Have a beautiful day.